The following is a presentation of Galaxy Sports and the SDM Sports Radio Network.
If you're a great defensive player, you can sure get off the ball pretty quickly.
Basketball started the conference and football is going to kill it. I hope that to not be the case. The AB Sportstacular is on the air.
Reiner going to try to sneak it ahead. Touchdown, FC! Appalachian State has stunned the college football world.
Touchdown, Auburn! A miracle in Jordan Hare!
On the way, a knuckleball. He got it! And here they come.
And here we come, folks, down the stretch of this football season. And boy, we got some football to talk about. I'm Brian Snow. That's Artie Source. And Artie, hey, it's good to be back with you. And B, we'll just get right to it. How about those 49ers?
Brian, are you there?
I'm right here, partner.
Perfect. So your thoughts heading into quite a weekend, week 15 of the National Football League.
Can you believe that? Can you believe how time has flown by? I'll say it again. How about those 49ers?
How about those 49ers? Huh? I mean, would anybody have ever thought that Brock Purdy out of Iowa State would be starting at quarterback week 15? What a great story. I mean, he is, as you know, I grew up in Newport Beach, California. And they have a tradition, a long-standing tradition of Mr. Irrelevant. And Mr. Irrelevant over the years has never made the impact. My joke is Brock Purdy went from Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. Relevant because, and I loved him at Iowa State. I watched him play a lot of games over 5 years, and he didn't make a lot of mistakes. He took a program that, was a doormat for many, many years. And you got to give Matt Campbell credit for what he's accomplished there, too. But the bottom line is the 49ers play defense, and defense wins championships. Go back to Buddy Ryan, the 85 Bears. Before that, the Steel Curtain, Doomsday of Dallas. You got the Purple People Eaters of Minnesota. But people always talk about, the NFL takes their rules, they manipulate them for the offenses. But in the bottom line, defense still wins championships. And that 49er defense gets to the ball.
Yes, they do. They get home. They get home very quick. And you talked about the defenses of the past with the Purple People Eaters, the Steel Curtain, two very underrated defenses. And I know you know these next two coaches quite well from the years you've watched and played football. Bill Parcells being one and George Seifert being the other.
Oh, Well, George Seifert never got the credit he deserved as a great defensive mind. And of course, Bill Parcells, great football coach, but he had a young guy by the name of Belichick as a future in football. I don't know. But yeah, getting back to the old 49er teams, one of my teammates, Ricky Ellison Gray, was on that team. Actually, Ronnie Lott was on that team. Those 49ers, I remember Jimmy Everett, the old Purdue quarterback that played for the Rams in the early 80s, dropping back in one of the NFC championship games. And there's just a bunch of people around him. He just went down. He said, that's enough out of me.
Well,
and then, of course, the great Jim Rome.
Yep.
And him had that little fun time about that.
Well, Jim Everett had to deal with folks like Charles Haley on one side, Keena Turner on the other side. As you mentioned, Ricky Ellison. But that look across the front, underrated front line on that 89.
No, that was a phenomenal era in football. Honestly, Snowman. That was before they changed the rules and guys could rock them, sock them. Minus Smith, and who was another one of my teammates at USC. I saw him hit people along with Braxton with the Broncos. And if you did that in the modern game now, they'd probably pull out charges at the DA's office on you.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. But man, coming down the stretch.
What do you think of that game in San Francisco this weekend, Brian?
We're gonna get to that because I have a lot of good thoughts about that game, and we're gonna get to the spread and everything. Okay. Let's start here. Philadelphia and Dallas, and there's one simple caveat. There's one simple.
Yeah, that's an in Dallas.
Philadelphia.
Jalen Hurts is out. Gardner Minshew is going to play quarterback.
Minshew's going to start.
Yeah, but it doesn't bother me at all. The Eagles are 14-1, and I mean, the way I look at that ball game, what Sirianni has been able to do with that franchise, and I got to tell you something. People don't realize this. When you look at that team and you're around them and you see them up close and personal, dudes you ever saw in your life. Yeah. That offensive line, Lane Johnson, Maya Matula, these guys, Kelsey is a big man. It's 6'3", 290. He looks like a little kid.
Yeah.
That team is huge. That offensive line is opened up holes all year long. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, right this minute, I know he's got a bad shoulder and there's things that are going on, but he is my MVP this season. He has turned into what I knew I saw many years ago at Alabama. And, I'll still tell you this. I'll take Jalen Hurts against Tua every day and twice on Sundays.
Same. I trust Jalen Hurts more than I trust Tua. And that was proven last weekend in Buffalo.
He's a stud, Brian.
He is. I mean.
Yeah. And if he had to play and it was a big game, he'd be right out there playing this week.
But with Philadelphia
that's how tough
resting him, they have the confidence that they can wrap up the NFC East and they can wrap it up this weekend. That's a kickoff, 4:25 tomorrow. Dallas is laying the points at home, but I don't trust Dallas for two reasons. One, they're leaning on Dak and
that's what they did in Jacksonville last week.
Yeah, exactly.
And then against Texas.
And the second reason I don't trust the Cowboys is the
Parsons from my neighborhood here.
Yep. They're too darn afraid to run the football. When they get a comfortable lead, they're too darn afraid to run the football. And the last 2 weeks have proven they will let you back in the ball game. It's just up to you to take advantage of them.
And let's be honest, Dallas has two great running backs. I mean, there's no reason with a 17-point lead they can't pound the ball, play the old Bill Cowher, Bill Parcells, just basically take the air out of the football, run the clock down. But no, they get caught up in, $30 million, in my opinion. His last 4 games, he's had 7 interceptions. And I know he's better than that. But,
Yes.
I think in mistakes allows the Cowboys to play a little bit better. And here's why, because he lets the defense play their game. He makes no mistakes. He hits receivers when he's supposed to. He stays ahead of the chains. And Dak wants to always make that spectacular play, and it gets him in trouble at least half the time, in my opinion, Brian.
It got him in trouble last weekend in Jacksonville when he
Who do you
threw that
like?
game-winning pick-6 to Rayshon Jenkins. I'm going with Philadelphia. I'm taking the points, and I'm
Yeah,
going
but
with
that was
Philadelphia.
kind of a fluke, though, too.
But
Yeah.
he look, his receiver needed to
I think
catch
House
the
has a
ball.
lot to move. I think Garner Minshew is an excellent quarterback. I don't like the 4 points. I really don't. I think it's too many in this game. But it is in Jerry World.
Yes.
And Dallas needs to show the country that they can play with Philly. And if they can't beat the backup quarterback, I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to take the points only because I think it'll be 3 points either way. And based on everything I see, it's going to be cold, cold, cold in Dallas, like the rest of the nation. 7 games this weekend that are going to be impacted by, what are you on the phone? All I know is my temperatures here went from 46 degrees earlier today, and I'm looking at it right now. It's 8 degrees.
Yeah.
That's a big switch very quickly.
It dropped here too. I'm going with Philadelphia, and I'm taking the points. I expect Philadelphia to take care of business with Gardner Minshew. Dallas is going to be Dallas, and they're going to fumble this. They're going to fumble this game away. And the impact of this game is, if Philadelphia wins, they're the NFC East champions, and they get the number 1 seed, and they get home field advantage. And the most important thing for Philadelphia, they get that bye. They get that 1 week bye. So I'm picking Philadelphia.
Yeah. But, I got to tell you something. Over the last couple of years, since they instituted only 1 team getting the bye, and over the last 24 years where they had the 2 teams getting the byes, at least 25% of those teams come out flat after a week off.
Yep.
Football's not like baseball, okay? Football's not like basketball. Your body gets conditioned to play every 7 days, and sometimes that day away you get well rested. You're taking care of yourself, but you lose that edge. And I've seen it happen so many times over the years, and it doesn't always happen. But I'm saying 25% of the time, it happened twice last year.
It did.
The bye teams got whacked, and
got eliminated
so
after the week off.
You got out for them as well. So yeah.
So I don't trust.
But that's going to be a fun ball game.
That is.
Christmas
It's going
Eve.
to be a fun game. I just don't trust Dallas. I do not trust, even though they're at home and they're laying 4 points. I don't trust the Cowboys
fans
at
out there
home.
that hate us right now.
I know, and I don't care. I'm speaking the truth. I don't trust Dallas right now.
I say they're like the little girl with the curl. They can look really good one night, like Seinfeld, and the next
horrible
night. Wow,
the next night. Exactly, and horrible, absolutely horrible. Let's go to this one. Cincinnati and New England. This Cincinnati's laying 3.5 on the road at Gillette Stadium. I'm going to speak a sentence that's going to make a lot of Belichick fans and Patriot fans upset, a couple of which who follow Snowman in the morning. This will be the death blow to the New England Patriots' playoff chances. Cincinnati is coming in hot. They were down 17-0 to Tampa Bay. They came back and won that game by 11. Down 17, won by 11. And I don't think New England has any legs left. They've been playing. Look, kudos to New England for playing as hard as they can. But after what happened last week in Las Vegas, and it's true, Bill Belichick can use games like that to motivate his players, But Zach Taylor has this Cincinnati team humming. I'm going with Cincinnati, and I'm laying the points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you have to take Cincinnati if you look at the numbers on that one. They were the same exact favorite last week in Tampa Bay. Came out flat as a pancake. Like you said, they matriculated the ball. They did a great job in the second half. Joe Burrows looked like the MVP of the league. You got Chase, you got Higgs, you got the big tight end. I like this number 16 kid, the little slot back. He seems to make big plays for him as well. But what's surprising is here's the key to this game: defensive ends for Cincinnati. I haven't checked the injury report. If they're both playing, Hubbard, they're amazing on the ends. They remind me a little bit of Bosa in San Francisco in terms of getting after the quarterbacks. And the thing that bothered me about at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas more than anything else was Mac and Cheese Jones got to make that tackle.
Yes.
You got to make that tackle. Somehow you square up and you make that tackle against an ex New England Patriot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what were they even thinking? Is that a Bill Belichick coach team doing things like this?
Not like
Lateraling the
that,
ball
no.
around? I mean, you're going to overtime. You should have won. And let's be honest, you should have won the game. For the NFL not to have a sideline camera that showed that the wide receiver's foot was
out of
4
bounds.
inches. I mean, I could see that even as blurry as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
this foot was clearly out of bounds.
There was something weird. That's a lot of things that have been happening in the NFL. Yeah, with the referees, it happened in the game with Washington and the Giants. And the receiver looks over. Yeah, you're fine. Then while he's telling him, then he's reaching in his pocket for the flag.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? And then the next play, the only thing the guy knew was make sure his room key was in his pocket.
Right.
He gave him everything but a kiss on the cheek. And I'm tired of the NFL referees deciding big football games, and it really makes me question what's going on a different level.
Yeah, it does. Which way are you leaning? I'm leaning with Cincinnati on this one.
So you want to know who I like?
Mm-hmm.
We're Cincinnati fans here. I mean, Joe Burrow is
all I need to know.
He's the greatest, in my opinion. I wrote it down today. There's 6 guys that I would not, if anybody called and I was an NFL GM, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. Don't even call me and ask me and tell me you got 12 first-round draft picks. I'm not getting rid of those 6 guys. Will win probably 1 to 2 Super Bowls over the next 10 years.
And one of them already has it. That's Patrick Mahomes.
I'm taking the Bengals. Yeah.
I'm taking the Bengals also.
And I'm going to tell you, Josh Allen can't get any closer. I mean, can't seconds to go the length of the field to keep him out of the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Man, here's the one I'm looking at. Redskins and the 49ers.
It's going to be cold in Foxborough, Snowman.
This is the one I'm looking at. 4:05
you got
Saturday.
Same quarterbacks. Taylor Heinicke. You got overachieving quarterbacks. Nobody gave him credit. I mean, I've talked to my old coach at USC, who basically fell in love with Taylor Heinicke, Norv Turner, and he says Norv Turner says it best. He goes, the kid doesn't make any mistakes. He's been coached by Kyle Shanahan. He's been coached. If you look at the coaches, McVay, all these guys are at one point or another. He just hangs in there. And of course, the statue Carson Wentz, in this game, he'll get sacked 7 times. Because, can you imagine the 49er defense getting after a non-mobile Carson Wentz? No, it ain't happening. San Francisco's going to win this game by 13 points on their way to playing Philly in the NFC Championship.
And I said at the top of the year it would be San Francisco and Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game. I posed this question on one of my other shows. Who would it be more important for? It would be more important for San Francisco, and I'll tell you why. You want to have as much momentum as possible because one of these games down the stretch, the Vikings are going to fumble away, and it's a chance for San Francisco to leapfrog Minnesota to get that number 2 seed. You want to have San Francisco in top form, in top shape. And remember, they've played most of this season with a litany of injuries, a litany of injuries. And yet here they are, 7 straight wins, going for 8 on Saturday.
Well,
And
I rest Debo. I would rest Debo.
I would too.
Man. Okay. Debo Samuel, just leave him out. You got enough other weapons. You got Kittle, you got McCaffrey, you got 2 speedy receivers. But I think this is going to be a pound the ball game. And the bottom line is this, okay? In the big scheme of things, the Redskins are a 500 ball club.
Yep.
Okay. They don't match up with the speed. They got a great defensive line. Chase Young's going to be coming back, they say. I'll believe that when I see it.
I'll believe it when he gets on the field.
Here's the big deal of this game. All right. Can Washington play a perfect game? Because that's what it's going to take to beat San Francisco in Santa Clara. I say no. I say San Francisco by 10. They just have too much going for them. And I'm telling you what, Brock Purdy's going to give the ball to his running backs. They're going to pound. They're going to throw the ball to Kittle. Kyle Shanahan has finally understood that a great defense paves the way. You can make bad decisions along the way offensively, which he does. You saw the Super Bowl against New England.
Yes.
You saw the Super Bowl in Miami. This is like a great makeup for a Super Bowl. So reality here. And I just think San Francisco's on the roll. And that's what I see. I even like this game as like a low scoring 24-10, 27-13.
Yeah, it's going to be
kind
one of those
27-10.
It's going to be one of those 27-10 kind of games. Here's another thing that I see. Yeah. When the 49ers faced Minnesota in the playoffs 3 years ago, they didn't throw the ball after the first quarter. They were that comfortable with the lead that they had, and it took them a pass to get down to the 1 yard line at the top of the second quarter. When they took the lead, they leaned on their defense and leaned on their running game. It's going to come to that, and I don't think the Redskins can stop the 49ers run game.
No. And they do have a lot of studs up front. They got a couple kids from Alabama in there that are really good tackles. But, again, I think there's something missing in that franchise. One of my old teammates, Jack Del Rio's the defensive coordinator. He's done a great job. But I think they can be attacked. I think they can be attacked. Okay, here's a great question for you. Name me a linebacker who plays for the Redskins.
I can't name you one.
That's where weakness lies. And I'm going to tell you another thing. The 49ers have 4 guys in the secondary that are animals.
Yes.
I mean, they really play some defense. And it's the best defense I've seen in a couple of decades. And I mean, I look at and I like Brian Robinson. I think he's for Washington. I like Taylor Heineke. But I like their wide receivers. They've stepped up a whole bunch. But I just don't think they're at that same level class-wise as the 49ers. And I also think that Daniel Snyder's on the way out. I think Jeff Bezos is going to buy the Washington Commanders. He'll be the commander-in-chief for Washington.
I think they should. Why did they change the? I said this when this whole scandal started. When they changed the name, it was a smokescreen. In my opinion, it was a smokescreen. Them getting rid of the name Redskins.
Can I tell you? I used to live in Denver, so I would drive through Navajo country, through all these different Indian areas, and I would stop and watch a ball game. and whether it was the Indian nation loved the fact that they were being represented in the world of sports.
Yep.
And the people, the community of America who decided that this was, wrong, your Nancy Armours, these people, they're so far out there, they don't realize that, these people have to have somebody to cheer for. They love their
Yes.
Redskins. They used to love the Stanford Indians before they became the Cardinal.
Stanford
And,
Cardinal.
Stanford has a lot to do with our whole dictionary. They want to
Mhm.
change, gender laws. And I mean, come on. It's just too much. It's too much. And I hope,
Way
the
too much.
Cleveland Indians hung in there. I hope the Atlanta Braves never, ever don't be the Atlanta Braves.
I couldn't I can't say Cleveland Guardians because to me they were always known as the Cleveland Indians. Forever. As
Yeah.
long as I've been growing up watching sports, they were the Cleveland Indians, they were the Washington
I call them
Redskins.
on my city all the time. And you know
Y-
what's
I
funny
s-
about their logo, Brian? Their logo, they only had to change the first four letters because it's
Mhm.
IANS. So the
Mhm.
IND. I mean that blew my mind when I looked at it. I said, "Well, they only got to change four letters, all the
Yep.
paperwork and the logos and everything."
Mhm.
What is a Guardian?
I don't know what a Guardian is. I don't know what the history of that is.
I
And
know that there used to be the Cleveland Spiders.
yep. Yep. But when I started watching football, when I grew up, they were the
I would have
Washington
stuck. I would have
Redskins.
stuck it out.
They were they were and to me are the Washington Redskins. Okay, and I get a lot of questions
Joe
about that. I said,
Gibbs,
look,
George
I
Allen.
grew up with Joe Gibbs, George Allen, um, John Riggins, Joe Theismann, Art Monk, the Hogs,
Yes. Yeah.
RFK Stadium, all that represented the Washington
Going back
Redskins.
even further, Sonny Jurgensen, Billy
Sonny
Kilmer.
Jurgensen. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a great franchise. Oh, I got to tell you a great story. Speaking of such, you'll like this. They asked the old owner of the Redskins many, many years ago. They said that he was a lawyer, Edgar Bennett Williams. They said,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Williams, what do you think about George Allen? And he said, well, I'll tell you what, I gave him an unlimited budget and he exceeded it. That's one of the greatest lines in sports history. If you really think about it, because George never saw a veteran he didn't like. You
Right.
know that, Brian. He would see
Mm-hmm.
like a Dyron Talbert out there. He said, and he would lick his fingers. They'd go like that. And God rest his soul, he was the most fun. One of my great friends in life, Cedric Hardman,
Mm-hmm.
defensive end for the Raiders and the 49ers, coached with him at the end of his career at Long Beach State. They had Terrell Davis on that team.
Yes.
Some great people played in that program. And I got to tell you, George was such a Redskin fan that to the night, even when he was coaching Long Beach State, all the other coaches would be called in on break down the film, and George would be at home watching the Redskins play. That's a true story. That's how much of a Redskin he was. He
I
loved his
get.
Redskins, and
Well,
it
Jack
took a
Kent
perfect
Cook.
season by the Dolphins to keep him from winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Jack Kent Cook was one of the first owners I got to know, via watching football, and JKC was so dedicated to the Washington Redskins, to RFK Stadium,
You know
and
how
to
he
the
made all his money?
players. How?
Do you know how Jack Kent Cook made all his money? Honest to God,
How did he make all his
it's a
money?
great story. Want to hear it?
Go for it.
He sold encyclopedias door to door in the wintertime in Toronto, Canada.
Oh,
That's
that's
a true
beautiful.
story.
That's beautiful.
The man that
I love
made
it.
the man that made the forum, the house that Jack built, as Chick Hearn used to say.
Yes.
And he was such an erudite Renaissance man, amazing human being, one of the great human beings in history. Somebody should write some books about him because he was self-made. Era where people start everything and they say how awesome they are. He
Yeah.
made his nickels on the street and $1 million fortune.
Well, that's going to be us when this show really takes off. That's all I'm going to say. And we'll leave it there with that. Next week, Artie
We'll
and I
give it
will
all
be
away
back.
and it'll keep coming.
Yeah, exactly. Next week, Artie and I will preview the college football playoff games that are a week from
Yes, sir.
tomorrow. And of course, the national championship being
So
January.
let me ask you a question. What
What
do you think?
Go
What
ahead.
do you think? Well, I was going to say I don't like that field. I think there's something wrong. SoFi is one of the stadiums. The other is the Meadowlands, the new Meadowlands complex. I see too many guys getting hurt. I see those little pebbles, those black pebbles.
Yeah.
The goalies in Seattle that play their old dead tires. They cause leukemia. This has been proven fact. And I go back to, I see so many injuries on those fields. There was a time about 4 years ago, the 49ers played the Jets and the Giants back to back.
And the Giants.
They stayed on the East Coast, and I'll never forget.
And it cost us cost us the season.
Right. And I got to tell you, they had injuries in those 2 games. They had 7 guys got hurt, 3 guys for the season. And it proved to me, and they were the first team to really step out and say, this is ridiculous. And I've actually been on the field at the new Meadowlands, and it's not a good surface to play on. And, here's another thing that bothers me. Recently we watched a bowl game from Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. We went to play Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. They played on AstroTurf. But when the Raiders play in that stadium, they lay turf in. And they did it in 20 hours between the Oregon-Florida game, the bowl game, the Las Vegas Bowl, and the game the next night against New England. In 20 hours, they brought in a football field like a pizza, put it together. I mean,
wow.
If they could do that indoors and grow grass indoors, why are we playing on these turfs?
I'll never forget when the 49ers, after back-to-back games in the Meadowlands at MetLife Stadium, complained of that turf because it was the Jets game where we lost 5 guys. 2 key ones were Raheem Mostert and Nick Bosa. We lost Nick Bosa for the season playing the Jets. And as soon as Bosa went down, there came the litany of injuries, and there was the season.
2 years to come back.
Yeah,
but it took him 2 years to come back, and he won the ball in Buffalo last week. And I mean, that Miami team has lost 3 games in a row last week. Brian, they're going to have to be dealt with somewhere along the line in the playoffs because they got a running game, and that's Daniels with his background with the McVays, with Shanahan. They know. I mean, he and Shanahan were ball boys for the Broncos when Pat Bowlen in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's, if you really think about that, they saw football. And,
they did.
I just think the kid's a genius. Yeah.
Oh, man. It's going to be fun building this show with you and being with you. And next week, as I said, we'll talk college football playoff. I'm going to go ahead and give my national championship game prediction. I won't say who win it, but I will give my game prediction. One side sees Georgia and Ohio State. I'm taking Georgia. The other side sees Michigan, TCU. I'm taking the Frogs. I'm going to say Georgia and TCU will play in Los Angeles for the national championship.
I'm going to go Georgia. I'm going Georgia and Michigan. I think Michigan's got too much up front for a very good Horned Frog team. Now, if Duggan goes off and the receivers catch the ball, I think they have a speed advantage. And of course, Galaxy Sports named Sonny Dykes our coach of the year today, and he deserves it.
He does. He does.
I just think
here's what I see. We're going to go in depth
for all of them.
We're going to go in depth about this next week. Here's what I see Michigan and TCU. Well, here's why I'm picking TCU. Yes, Michigan has too much for TCU up front, but you'll have to catch them first. Michigan has a lot of weight to lean on the Horned Frogs, but you'll have to catch them first.
Well, there's one great. All the great coaches I've been around over the years. The one thing you can't coach is speed.
Nope.
And that is the truth. And I think that TCU team is a lot faster than anybody thinks they are.
And Michigan's going to find that, and Michigan's going to find that out. We'll leave it here. Artie and I will be back next week to talk all things college football playoff, plus the wrap up of Week 16, and a whole lot more.
Hey.
This has been the AB Sportstacular. Artie, I love you, brother.
Let's make sure everybody
Thank
knows
you so
that
much.
we want holidays.
Yes. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great, great holiday. Please stay warm and please stay safe. And like I said, next week, we'll also explain why Brock Bowers didn't get a vote for the Heisman Trophy. All that next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.